The Dr. Berg Show. Live from the nation's capital, it's time to get healthy, lose weight, and feel great. Call now to speak with Dr. Berg at 866-561-4292. And now, Dr. Eric Berg.
Hi guys, good morning. It's 11 o'clock Friday morning, Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to the show. So we have Karen, who's going to help us on social media.
Good morning.
And we have people from all over the world. Where are people commenting from?
Wow, already we just started and we have Barcelona, Denver, Canada, the UK, California, Istanbul, Antarctica, the Philippines, Massachusetts, Jersey, that's New Jersey, I'm from Jersey, Aruba, Wisconsin, and they just keep pouring in. So, yay, good morning.
Awesome, awesome. Let's go right to the callers. We have quite a few callers. We're going to go to New York City. Josephina has been holding for 34 minutes. Go ahead, Joseph.
Josefina, good morning, Dr. Berg.
Good morning. Oh, Josephina,
Thank
sorry.
you for your help. That's okay.
Okay.
I am calling because I started doing my transformation about 3 years ago, and I have lost 62 pounds.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
Great.
And I love my stomach. Like you always say, that's the first part that you lose the weight.
Yeah.
But I'm having problems with my legs. I don't have thick legs, but they are flabby.
Yeah.
And I have tried exercise. I'm doing the IF and the diet.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to take it to the next level?
It's a really good question. It's probably a very common problem. What do you do for the legs? Since the weight comes off from the top down, you start noticing in your face and then lower, and then what about the legs? Well, there's a couple points I'm just going to mention. Number one, yes, you want to do high intense interval training with lots of rest, but you're also going to have to combine some type of exercise that involves either biking or running or jogging to really work those legs on more of a constant basis to actually start really developing. You know, if you're activating the muscles for that period of time, the muscles will then start pulling some of that reserve. But what you're dealing with is one thing is the superficial type fat around the legs. It's called subcutaneous. It's a different mechanism than the belly fat that's stored with insulin in the gut. With women, the difference between men and women mainly is that hormone estrogen. So you also have the estrogen factor, which can also give the fat layer around a female body. So we have that. And then we also have just years of maybe not working out and it developing to a certain level. Now you're actually trying to reverse that, which could take a few years, could take a long time. You just got to stick with it. I recommend taking a picture over time just so you can see the change, because if you're looking every single day, you're not going to see any change. And the last thing is something called atrophy, which is the loss of muscle. So if you're out of shape in the lower part of the body and you have that, picture just like having a steak that's really fatty versus a lean steak. There's going to be a loss of muscle fibers in there that you're going to have to develop, which just takes a lot of time. If you were to work the legs and find that the strength just isn't there, then that would be a perfect indication that, wow, my muscles, I just don't have muscles in there anymore. So you have this loss of muscle and then it's replaced with fat. So as you do this program, you'll build more muscles with intermittent fasting because the protein that's involved. And then if you add exercise more and more, and then also maybe combine some type of exercise that really just works the lower legs, whether running, jogging, bike, that's what I would recommend. And you're gonna have to give it a bit of time, but definitely go to one meal per day. All right, thanks. All right, let's go to Sharon from Florida. You had a question about the keto plan. Go ahead, Sharon. Are you there, Sharon? Hello? All right.
Sharon.
We'll come back to you, Sharon. Let's go to Dana from Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Awesome.
Good morning. Wonderful. Hey, you two are the cutest couple. I watched your video on how you met. I thought that was funny. Dr. Berg, you are a nerd. Like,
I am.
that?
I am. I can't help it. I know.
You understand
I know.
me, right?
It's bad.
I understand. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I am trying to heal myself of RA.
Okay.
My history quickly is IMU, junk food, sodas. I came down with RA in 2001. I've been watching a lot of videos for the past 2 years of everyone, but you seem to be the only one who's helped me. I got divorced 3 years ago. My wife decided she didn't want to take care of me, so she left a younger man, the whole history. So I went through depressions, went up from 200 to 230 pounds. Then I dropped down. For the past year, I'm down to 168.
Wow.
I got down to 100, but everyone told me I looked too skinny. So I've been putting on some weight, eating healthy. I had a bad case of candida. My tongue was white. I got rid of that because of your, apple cider vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
In 2001, like I told you, I got RA. I was looking for a wheelchair. I did beasting therapy, which healed me from that. A year ago, I really started doing your thing, and I've dropped that 70 pounds. And no sodas. I completely got rid of the sodas and kicked back on the sugar, which has helped a lot. Good. Like I said, I'm trying to heal the RA. I am now doing Dr. Beck on colloidal silver. I saw a video of yours about Lyme disease. I've never been tested for Lyme disease, but they said I had my RA factor was out of the charts, so I was in really good shape. And the fluoride blockage from vitamin D, I was wondering about that. And the other stuff, borax, those are the things that I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay, great. All right, so let's talk about that. So we're dealing with RA, which is an autoimmune disease, which is interesting about autoimmune diseases. Rheumatoid arthritis is an inflammatory condition of the joints. What happens is that, from my observation, I see these things happen after stress events. So we know the adrenals are involved because the adrenals control the main anti-inflammatories of the body, and it also controls the immune system, the white blood cells. So we're dealing with a loss of that control, so then the body starts to self-attack and you develop antibodies attacking your own joint. So the underlying foundation problem is the adrenal, which you just need to keep supporting that. You can do it with nutrition and also manually with some acupressure techniques to deal with storage of stress in the body. There's a technique involving the massage tool. You can look at that. I have videos on that. But this technique is all about just extracting old stress from the body, because the more stress you pull out, which, by the way, your body is like a bucket of stress, the more you can then get into a deeper sleep, rest, and then heal, because the sleep is key with the rheumatoid. The other thing interesting about rheumatoid arthritis is that there's been some data about potassium improving rheumatoid arthritis. Now, I don't know if it's exactly how that works, because there's several different possibilities. It could be like pulling fluid out. It could be working with insulin resistance. I don't know exactly, but I do know that an average person needs about 4,700 milligrams. Someone with RA might need 6,000 to get the results and the relief. So you may want to experiment with that. And so foods that are the highest in potassium would be the beet leaf and avocado. So if you were to make a shake with kale and beet leaf, oh my gosh, that probably would help you tremendously. But don't forget to then add more sea salt, because if you raise potassium, you need the other minerals to help. Stinging nettle root is a good herb for rheumatoid, just for the inflammation. But I'd say the biggest thing that you should focus on is intermittent fasting, to go to actually one time per day, because that's going to stimulate autophagy, which then cleans up all these old microbes and that are sitting in the background that could contribute. And it's also going to help the recycling of proteins, and it's going to drop your inflammatory condition tremendously. So that's something you want to work up to. But that's kind of some tips I would recommend, but you have to realize it is adrenal. As far as vitamin D goes, there's several, and this is one last thing because I'm taking a bit of time, but there's one more thing about people doing high levels of vitamin D for autoimmune. It seems to work, but sometimes the microbes trick your immune system out and they create different strategies to block the receptors for vitamin D. So even if you take it, it doesn't work. So there is something called a vitamin D receptor analog, which basically means the mimicker that you can do, and that's actually bile salts, purified bile salts. It'd be very good to take that to then help you absorb vitamin D. All right, well, thanks for that. And now we're going to go right to Karen for a question.
Hey,
if
good.
You have one.
I do. I have lots of questions. So I have, I think it's Alvina on YouTube, and she wants to know how to handle chronic gastritis with keto, or if there's something special that you can do for that. And then someone asked also about irritable bowel, so I thought since you're addressing that zone, you could take up both.
Okay, good. So, and anything that I recommend, make sure you check with your doctor, because this is not meant to diagnose you or cure you. It's for your own education and your ability to do your own research. Okay,
Right.
So chronic gastritis is years of probably imbalances in your pH of your stomach. There's been some data that acid that's corroding the stomach and irritating it is not the hydrochloric that people think. It's more of another acid, a byproduct acid called lactic acid that's kind of coming from the small bowel. You can't just start dumping apple cider vinegar down the stomach to actually improve that. What you have to do is you have to heal the stomach first. The best thing that I recommend to support normal, healthy skin tissue is the wheatgrass juice powder, and you would take that like 3 times a day, just so you can put the chlorophyll down there to start healing the area. The other thing that's really good for the stomach lining and the intestinal lining is cabbage juice, sauerkraut, anything to do with cabbage. It seems to really be really good for the digestive system to heal the lining. And it's going to take some time of healthy eating over a period of time. And intermittent fasting is probably going to be the biggest thing too, because it actually is the best healer for something like that, and it takes the stress off the digestive system. And then after a while, then you start adding the apple cider vinegar in there to start to acidify the stomach so you can prevent gastritis. Irritable bowel is usually could be a similar thing, but that happens over time with either taking a lot of antibiotics that destroy the lining, or you loss of stomach acid in your stomach, so then you can't kill the microbes. So then you get like all these bugs that go right through the stomach into the small intestine. They can invade the system and start infecting things. So I would just apply the same principles like I just said for both conditions. Vitamin B3 is apparently really good for IBS, and then of course avoiding any type of gluten, which will just tear that up. All right, good question. I want to go back to Sharon because I know she's been waiting for 37 minutes. Are you there, Sharon? Sharon, you're not there? Okay.
Oh.
Okay, good. So let's go to Zena from Arizona. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Wonderful to talk to you, and thank you for everything. I have started your intermittent fasting since December of last year, and I have high blood pressure, and my doctor has me on 12.5 mgs of I'm going to say this wrong, hydrochlorothiazide, which is a water pill.
Yeah.
I have to take that in the morning, as you know, because if I take it later, I'll be up all night. My question is, I don't like to take it on an empty stomach. And if I eat something, I'd be breaking the intermittent fasting. Do you have any advice for me there?
Yeah. So maybe you could take it at a different time when you do eat. Would that be a possibility? The other thing, too, is probably the thiazide diuretics tend to have a side effect of causing insulin resistance, which then increases your insulin, which then causes high blood pressure as a side effect. Whoops. So one thing you may want to do is try to find another medication that you can use that does not have a side effect of causing high insulin, because high insulin is what's behind the high blood pressure. So here you are trying to get rid of the high blood pressure, but we're dumping something back in there. I would highly recommend you start beefing up your potassium foods and even a high potassium electrolyte just to support blood pressure, okay? But I think over time, things are going to improve, so your doctor can adjust that over time. So The other thing that is good for lowering blood pressure is vitamin D. So you might want to make notes of that. And then worst case scenario, if you have to consume some food with this medication and you have to take the medication, just do it with some fat. Don't do it with a carbohydrate, don't do it with protein. Do it just with a little fat. At least we create the minimum amount of insulin spike possible. All right? Thanks. All right, Karen. What do we got?
Good.
What do we got over there?
Okay, so
Good questions?
Sure, lots of good questions, lots of appreciation, lots of hellos from all over the world. I'll do a little shout out because you guys really sent me a lot of data on this. Germany, Mexico City, South Africa, Virginia, actually all over the United States. I could probably sing the song. Netherlands, Australia, Puerto Rico, Brazil, London. You guys are awesome. And you're in the house. Okay, good question. So on Facebook, we have Krista who's asking, she has a fatty liver. She's been told she has a fatty liver. Is it okay to have coconut oil if she has a fatty liver?
Right, because of course, coconut is a fat, and of course, if you eat fat, then it causes you to get fat.
Fat makes you fat. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. So the true data is that fat will only make you fat if you combine it with carbohydrates. Protein will also make you fat if you combine it with carbohydrates. If you eat fat by itself, or with maybe some vegetable carbohydrates, or even protein, it won't turn into fat. So coconut oil is a really good thing to consume if you have a fatty liver, absolutely. So the key with you to improve that is to keep the carbs low and keep the amount of vegetables high to actually undo the fat in your liver. Okay? Is that good?
That was perfect.
Now, I'm surprised that we don't have any callers from Wyoming.
No,
because Wyoming is the number one state that has the most people that are searching for keto. Anyway.
Right. It's fascinating. Wyoming.
So
I'm sure we have Wyoming people. Honestly, every single state, and I just heard from Ireland and Tokyo. It's all over the place, right?
Awesome.
Hey, since you have attention on me, I'm going to give you another question. So I have Christy also from Facebook, and she's asking about milk and yogurt. Now she takes, and again can get raw milk and yogurt, but she's wondering about milk and yogurt on keto.
yeah, unfortunately, both of those are way too high in sugar. It's going to keep you out of ketosis. The only milk products I would recommend would be butter and cheese.
What about cream cheese or sour cream?
Yeah, cream cheese, sour cream is fine, but you don't want to do yogurt, and you don't want to do milk for sure. Now, what about half and half? Yeah. What about whole cream? Sure, in your coffee, but
What about kefir?
it's still a little too high in sugar. Now, I would probably take that if you have a lot of digestive issues that you want to fortify, or maybe you had some diarrhea or something like that, and you want to get your gut back, but it's not going to help you with the keto.
Okay.
Too high in sugar.
Okay.
All right, so now let's go to Aretha from New York City. I probably butchered your name. Go ahead. Aretha, let's see, Arella? Arella, is that better?
Yes. Hello?
Okay. Hi, how are you? Sorry.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So I've been having some diarrhea without, like, any flu symptoms,
Yeah.
and it's been happening for, like, 4 days. I have no pain, zero pain. I'm not nauseous.
Okay. Now,
I've been doing intermittent fasting. I'm not really doing the keto diet, just trying to eat healthy. But yeah, so it's really annoying because I'm at work and I can't just.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two things. One is you want to stop that situation, okay? The best way to do it is take blackberries. And out of all the berries, Karen, the blackberry has the least glycemic effect on your sugars.
Blackberries.
Blackberries.
Is
okay?
this a quiz? Is there a quiz?
No, we already
coming?
did that
Okay.
two times ago.
Okay.
So we have blackberries, and then put some plain grass-fed kefir. Okay, this is the time where it's okay to have kefir with the blackberries, and you blend it into a shake. Do that a couple times a day. That should actually help your gut and handle the diarrhea. The other thing is you want to find out what did you just consume differently that then triggered the diarrhea. There must have been some change, and then reverse that change. And then the last thing that you need to do, you need to actually do keto, because if you're doing intermittent fasting without keto, you're still raising insulin and it could still be a problem. So keto and intermittent fasting always should be done together. Thanks for your call. All right, we're going to go to Derek from New York. Go ahead, Derek.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Great, thanks.
I also encourage everybody. Your book is absolutely tremendous. It is the most beneficial piece of literature that I've ever read in my entire life.
Wow, thank you.
I encourage everybody to get it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dr. Berg, you've actually been helping me with my situation. I actually started your gallbladder formula last night for the first time. I've had it since like September, October, but I didn't have these health situations back then that I'm experiencing now. And you've actually been helping me. When I called up in previous shows, I have gallbladder sludge. This was all found 2 months ago. Gallbladder sludge, HIDA scan was at ejection fraction was at 49%. I had acute gastritis, basically some tissue lining change in my lower esophagus, mid esophagus, 2 parts of my duodenum, 1 right by the gallbladder, and 2 in my stomach. And so basically with your wheatgrass juice and other things that you recommended, I've been kind of healing my gut lining, and I believe it's worked tremendously.
Awesome.
The wheatgrass powder is really great. I know it's changed. So my thing is that the gallbladder, I didn't have any pain. I've never had a gallbladder attack. On a scale of 1 to 10, my pain, I wouldn't even say went to 1, but about around 12 days ago, after eating, I started getting some pains, and I do have some inflammation in my gallbladder. So I started taking your gallbladder formula last night, and honestly, when I woke up this morning, I felt much better. Now, I don't know, I do take Ursidile, 300 milligram twice a day, which is kind of considered a low dose. So I was wondering, what do you think I should do here, and what kind of foods do you think? I eat only like I steam vegetables, and that's really basically all I eat. And I add a little bit of I add a tablespoon of olive oil to all my meals, and I do a little bit of chicken. That's really all I eat. And so I really don't know what to eat, and I really don't know how to go about when I should take the gallbladder formula, if I should take it or not. I'm just not sure.
Okay, all right. Well, let's just cover that, because there's I'm going to give you the short answer. Number 1, you want to start your meal with the greens first, because that's the thing that people just don't get enough of. So you have your salad. You could do the steamed vegetables if you can't digest it, or ferment it even better. But for those of you that can handle, you want to do the greens first. Try to have a huge salad, and then you do your protein, 3 to 6 ounces. If you do too much, you get more tired because it raises insulin. If you don't do enough, then the body will just convert your own muscle to protein. And then lastly, you top it off with some fat, but not a lot at first. Do a little bit. The olive oil seems to be a good, healthy fat, but don't go crazy with it, because it's kind of a refined product. It's like just, it'd be better to have the whole olives. So some people do better with coconut oil. Some people even do better with butter. So you want to just see what kind of what you'd want to put on your vegetables or put into the food. As far as what you're doing, you want to take that gallbladder formula for sure, because it's obviously it's helping you, but you want to take it after the meal and start off with just 1 with a meal per day, not more than that. You can slowly increase it and test the waters if you need more, but what that does is it goes in there and it really helps you, takes the stress off the gallbladder, it takes the stress off the digestive system, because there's stuff in there for the pancreas and the stomach. So it'll actually just give you more complete digestion, so you won't feel as kind of distended or bloated or nauseous. You have to realize, though, when you have this pain in your abdomen or nauseousness or pain in the back with keto, it could mimic kidney stones. It could be also gallbladder stress or kidney stones. So the first thing I would do is I would drink a little bit more water with a lot of lemon juice, and maybe if you even have the electrolytes, take that and see if that pain goes away. Then we know there could be a little kidney thing going on that you need to keep flushing out with a lot of lemon juice. If it doesn't go away, then go for the gallbladder and support that with something called gallbladder formula, which really works good on the liver and the gallbladder and helps to take the edge off some of the tension in the liver. So that's what I would do, Derek. But thanks for calling. Thanks for the wonderful compliments with the book. I appreciate that because I spent so many years, blood, sweat, and tears trying to create this book, so I'm glad that you like it. Brenda, you're from New York as well. You had a question.
Yeah, hi, doctor. How are you?
Hi, great, thanks.
Doctor, I saw your video a couple of days ago, maybe a couple of weeks, like a week and a half ago. You mentioned about the immunization that is not good for kids. How about the flu shot, doctor?
Yeah.
Is the flu shot can cause diabetic to the kid?
Yeah, this is another controversial topic, and again, do research, your own research, and decide. But this is just my opinion. I would, as far as it's what I see is I see people that get the flu shot tend to get the flu in my clinic, like all the time. So,
Yes.
so I'm not crazy about the flu shots for anyone, basically. So that's my opinion. So, but do your own research, make your own decision. It's a touchy subject because there's a lot of controversial things. But on my video, click the links so you can study the other viewpoint of the flu, the vaccinations and the flu, and then you can have better data to make your own decision on that. Okay?
Can I chime in?
Okay, thank you so much, doctor.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
I want to chime in as a mother here too, because if you notice, every year there's a flu shot, and it's for certain strains of flu. Really, this approach that we have here isn't so much about what drugs to take or not take, because that isn't our domain, but it's how to bolster the body to avoid getting a cold or the flu, and putting way more attention on that than, you know, something else.
Yeah, like the immune system, like vitamin D. Vitamin D would be very beneficial.
Right. So that's where we have a really strong opinion, is not as much on the meds, but on what to do all throughout the year, and maybe as the seasons change, to really bolster the immune system for your kids and for your family and for yourself. I just had to throw that in.
That's right. That's a good point, Karen.
Thank you.
And then let's go to Gina. She's from Long Island, New York. Quite a few people. Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead, Gina. Are you there?
Yeah. Hi, how you doing? It's Tina with a T.
Oh, Tina with a T. Got it. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. As of lately, I do OMAD. I usually don't eat after 7 p.m. and I eat like 3 p.m. the next day. But lately, the past couple of weeks, I don't understand what's going on with my insulin. I'm type 2 diabetic. And like this morning, I took my sugar. When I woke up, it was 94. I had my lemon water and my apple cider vinegar. And then I have my coffee with MCT. And then I wait a little bit and I do my workout. And I take my sugar after my workout. It was like 190. So, and this has been happening in the past few weeks, and I can't quite figure out why. Because there's some days I could not do any insulin whatsoever, which my endo also told me would never happen. I would never lower my insulin, but it has been lowered. Hopefully, my goal is to be completely off of it, you know. But I can't figure out why this is happening all of a sudden.
So, other than that, is there any other changes that have been occurring just before this spike in blood sugars?
No, I mean, everything's the same. I've been doing keto since September 2016. I, just did straight keto, and then I jumped down to the intermittent fasting, and but I've been doing that for like about 6 months now, and then just recently, maybe 3 months ago, I dropped to the OMAD.
Okay.
But I had no problems. It was like everything was kind of smooth sailing.
Okay, so there's a couple things that I would do, Tina. One is I would keep a log, and then check your sugars like after your workout, and then wait an hour and wait an hour. That would be just really interesting to understand what's going on with you, because there's with insulin, you have the pancreas and you have the little cells that make insulin. There's two things going on. You have it's like a phase 1, phase 2 type release with insulin. One is that you have this little sac capsule type thing that is kind of like a little pocket of insulin just waiting to be released when you eat. Like that, I think you said that with your bulletproof coffee. I think you might have said that. So that will release with food, and then what happens a little bit later, you get a post-meal generation of insulin from the beta cells in the pancreas. So that's kicking in there. So it's like 2 phases there. And what happens sometimes is like after eating, your sugars can go up and stay up for a lot longer. And so I don't know what's happening in your case, but what we do know is that your exercise is involved. And exercise can release a lot of glycogen from the liver and also the muscles that can then raise the sugar. That could be happening. So you have the situation where your body is just like releasing a lot of sugar. Also, the liver is involved in releasing stored sugar as well. So if you're exercising or you're doing whatever and the liver actually spikes the sugar, that could be because there's not enough functional insulin to keep it low from whatever reason. So it's a little bit more complex. So with you, I can't really determine what's happening unless we get maybe some graphs and some more data and more history. But I hope those 2 little pieces of the puzzle helped you, because you may want to just support your liver. You can also support the adrenal and see if you improve your blood sugars for that. I don't think it's, I think you're doing everything you can. Now it's just supporting some of the organs that might just be not quite up to fully getting back to normal again. All right, thanks, Tina. All right, we're going to go to Joanne from Baltimore. Go ahead, Joanne, you had a question.
Hi, good morning. Thank you
morning.
for taking my call. My question has to, I'm a newbie to keto and intermittent fasting, and my question is about potassium. My understanding is that it's in excess of 4,000 milligrams that we need every day, and how is it possible to get all the potassium that you need when you're doing an intermittent fasting on 1 meal a day? I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday, for instance, and I've been plugging my food into MyFitnessPal, and that's what's giving me the numbers. So, for instance, yesterday I had 250 grams of salad, about 3 cups. I had a half a pound, 8 ounces of broccoli that was steamed. I had a cup of cooked kale, which was about 2.5 cups before it was cooked, and a shot of wheatgrass juice. And even with all of that, it just came out to slightly less than 3,000 milligrams. How is it possible to get all the potassium we're supposed to have if you're doing a 1 meal a day?
Good question. There's 2 things. One is that some of the values on MyFitnessPal, I think, are a little bit on the low end. That's one thing. The second thing is that as you do less meals per day, your body starts going into this very conservative, efficient mode where it starts holding more nutrients and there's less wasted. So your body's adapting. So the need for the higher levels of nutrients, protein, even fat goes way down. That's really what's happening. So you are not going to need 4,700 if you're doing 1 meal a day. It would be impossible to consume that much food. So I think you're doing great. If you can get 3,000, I think you're right on track. All right, thanks. All right, Karen, we're going to go to you for a question.
Well, hello. Good. Good. So I'm going to bring a question up that comes up almost every week, but there are a lot of questions on calories and keto. Can you touch on that quickly?
Well, this is a good question because I have several videos on the calories, and so I just want to clarify. It's not that I don't completely say ignore your calories on keto, because sometimes people say, oh yeah, don't worry about it. You can eat whatever you want, as far as as many calories. Well, that's what we're talking about, intermittent fasting thrown in there. Because if you actually do keto and eat a ton of food, you're probably not going to lose any weight, especially if you're doing snacks. But the intermittent fasting forces you to reduce the amount of calories that you're consuming. You shouldn't actually emphasize the calorie counting simply because it's focusing on the wrong target. We want to focus on the nutrients and the quality of food, not the calories. That being said, an average person might need 1,800 calories on this program if you're doing 3 meals. If you're doing 2 meals, they might need 1,500 calories. If you're doing one meal, they might need 1,200 calories for the whole day. So that's my general recommendations, and I'm sticking to it. But if you think about it, if you're doing one meal of 1,200 calories and 3 meals of 1,800 calories, which comes out to 600 calories, it's a 600 calorie meal, and then we're going up to a 1,200 calorie meal, but you only do that once a day. It's much healthier because you don't spike the insulin. So I have 2 videos online about calories. You should watch this more in depth, but that's the short version. All right, Karen, do we have one more question?
Yes, we have many more questions. But on Facebook, Margaret Lynn is wondering how to handle Charlie horses if you get them on keto.
Charlie horses. Well, that's a really good, easy answer.
Okay.
That would be just take more potassium. What happens on keto is you are switching from sugar, stored sugar, which is glycogen, to fat burning. Realize that glycogen holds a tremendous amount of water. It's like a fluid-filled sponge. We're getting rid of a lot of that. We're not running off that anymore. So all this fluid comes out of your body, and so does the electrolytes. But potassium goes out more than the other electrolytes. So that's why people get cramps. So you just need to add more potassium to the diet. I would recommend electrolyte powder. I have a version that's good because it has trace minerals. It has 1,000 milligrams of potassium, magnesium, and no sugar. You take that and the cramps should go away. But that's pretty much what it is. All right, let's go to Patty from Georgia. You had a question.
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am 59. I'm not much overweight, maybe 6-7 pounds. But my history has involved a lot of hormonal things. A doctor 35 years ago put me on cortisone for Addison's, which obviously I don't think I had because a gynecologist weaned me off of that a couple years later. Okay. Then I was put on thyroid medication, and then at age 38, I had a surprise baby.
Wow.
And 15 years after my second one. So anyway, in 2002, the gynecologist suggested bioidentical hormones because I was, you know, having a lot of the menopausal symptoms, urinary tract infections, trouble sleeping, crying a lot. And so when I started listening to your videos, I was like, maybe he can help me figure out if I can get off these things, or do I just need to hang with them and do everything else I can to boost my body. And
right.
Anyway.
Okay. Good. Well, let's answer that, Patty, because I think there's 2 things. You have the hormones, right? Then you have the thing that makes the hormones. It's the glands. You have all these different glands that make hormones. Hormones are communications. Anytime you take a hormone, you kind of make the gland not have to work as hard. So you want to support the glands with keto and intermittent fasting, hardcore, because that's going to help several hormones. Primarily, it's going to help reduce insulin. Then that'll allow a lot of hormones to come back up to normal. The good, I mean, like growth hormone and anti-aging, which is the anti-aging hormone. Even your thyroid will actually do better, even though I don't think they took your thyroid out. But here's the big thing. You were misdiagnosed with Addison's, which is kind of an adrenal failure. And then they gave you cortisone. Oh my gosh, which then really kind of makes the adrenals go to sleep even more. I think you should probably support your adrenals more than anything. Watch the videos on adrenal, because on top of all these other hormonal things, especially if you're going through menopause or you went through it, the adrenals are such a key factor in kind of keeping things, everything else working. It's kind of like the anchor that keeps everything down. So if you were to combine supporting the adrenal, actually I have a lot of data in my book on adrenal, so you should probably read through that, and then do keto intermittent fasting. And then at that point, see if you and your doctor can work out gradually weaning off these bioidentical hormones, because it's not really fixing anything, it's kind of keeping things patched up. But why not get your own body, the glands specifically, to make their own hormones? I think you can do this over time. So that's what I'd recommend. All right? And then, so Karen, we have the first question of the day, okay?
Wow, okay,
So,
I didn't know there were questions.
Oh, there's a lot of questions
Okay.
I have. Okay, so here's the first question, everyone. What is the first organ that is affected when you have hypoglycemia, low blood sugar? What's the number one organ in your body that is, impact the hardest, the first, when you have low blood sugars, hypoglycemia? Go ahead,
Okay.
type in your answers. And while everyone's answering to that, I'm going to go right to the next call, Karen.
Yes.
All right, good. So we have Kadisha from Houston, Texas. Go ahead.
Good morning, doctor. How are you doing?
Good morning.
First of all, I would like to thank you all for whatever you do and the positive effect you have brought in so many lives. Really appreciate that, sir.
Thank you.
And the reason for my call today is I'm calling on behalf of my wife, and we went in for her yearly blood work and got some markers positive. That was her DHEA levels. They were slightly above normal, and her uric acid came, a bit higher than normal, and the ANA test came out positive. So these three markers were, worrisome for us. Never been positive on any of these. Okay. And DHEA, doctor was like, could be related to PCOS and all that stuff. Yeah. Wasn't worried about. And then in the meantime, in this blood work we did around December of 2017. So we went back in and did a follow-up blood work, and her uric acid levels were higher than the first blood work. And during this time, and we did this follow-up sometime in, I would say, towards the end of January, and between this period, she was doing intermittent fasting. So fasting was, could be one of the reasons why the uric acid levels went a bit more high. But the ANA, the other markers, when doctors ran the blood work in detail, she tested negative for pretty much every, 5 or 6 major autoimmune diseases to look at, like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis. So even though the ANA was positive, okay, and the rest of the, the detailed diseases to look for came out negative, the doctor suggests could be, we've caught it early. Now, she does have flare-up, pains sometimes in her knuckles.
So I have a question.
And wrist.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is she also doing keto with intermittent fasting?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to jump right in and tell you what I'm going to recommend, because here's the thing. There's 2 ways you can get high levels of uric acid crystals. One is if you're not doing keto, you're doing high carb, because the high carbs will then convert into uric acid. So she needs to get on keto immediately. Now, you said she's doing intermittent fasting, so that's good, because that usually will help reverse that. But then if you're dumping a lot of ketones into the body, your pH, your kidneys can start breaking down more protein as well, and then you can start increasing more uric acid in the system. And that's one of the kind of the side effects from the different pathways that happens to the kidney. I'm not going to get into the details, but when you're doing keto, you need to do a lot of lemon juice. And if you're prone to uric acid, then the simple remedy would be to alkalize the body a little bit more with potassium citrate. Okay, it's in a lot of electrolyte powders, but the point is potassium citrate with lemon juice will kind of counter the uric acid tremendously. So I would put her on keto, keep the intermittent fasting, add potassium citrate, lemon each day, and then retest everything in about 6 weeks. That's what I would do. All right, so Karen, what kind of answers do we have here?
I would say there are 4 answers that are coming up the most. Kidney, and then we have the brain, the liver, and the pancreas coming up a lot.
All right, do we get a drum roll, please? And the answer is your brain.
Your brain.
Yeah, your brain.
Good.
So the low blood sugars, and you know why that is, Karen?
No.
Because your brain does not store sugar. It doesn't store sugar as glycogen, like the liver and the muscle. So what happens, it's going to have to get its fuel from either the ketones, which we're just talking about low blood sugar. We're not even talking about ketosis or whatever. We're just talking about blood sugars. If your blood sugar runs too low, there's not enough sugar in the blood, so the brain gets irritated first. It starves, the brain and nervous system. And so what that will do, it shuts off the fuel and the oxygen, and it irritates the brain.
Wow.
And guess what symptoms you get, Karen?
Cranky.
Irritable, crankiness, headaches, mood disorders, anxiety, depression, sadness. Shall I go on? So yeah, that's those are all the side effects from low blood sugar. Now, how do you fix that? You do keto and intermittent fasting. Surprise!
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we'll have one more quiz at the end here, but I do want to tell everyone we have this amazing. I completely forgot what we're actually recommending. Or is it a keto? Yeah, keto course. Yes, we're recommending a keto course, and it's an amazing course. And everyone, if you're new to keto, you need to actually just do the course. It's a free little course. We've had probably 80,000 people take it so far, but there's a link down below. You just take this course, and you'll learn the basics of keto. There's actually 3 videos. It may take you 20 minutes of your life to take these, but you'll get the basics. So I highly recommend you do that. And yeah, and also the last thing too I want to mention is that there's a lot of questions here and also on the Keto Lab and on my blog. There's so many questions. I would say there's
98%.
two situations. One is there's already a video on that question, and you just have to search Dr. Berg and then that topic. Okay, that's number one.
On YouTube.
On YouTube. Now, the other thing is that some people might get a partial piece of that information, but not the full scoop, and so they're confused. So if you're serious about getting healthy, losing weight, getting your body back, shift your viewpoint and really go for understanding this fully. Get all the details. I'm going to be a little biased and say buy the book, but you can also not buy the book and just watch all 2,000 videos. This is a summary
and growing
of
every
all
day.
2,000 videos.
Right.
Okay. It'll be also, it's in different formats. You can Kindle, whatever, but there's a lot of good data in this book. I actually read it a second time. I was actually pretty impressed because I was like, wow, there's a lot of great information in there.
If they get the book on drberg.com, they get a free companion guide, and they don't get that on Amazon.
Right, there's a summary book that is pretty awesome. You can get that if you get it on my website, drberg.com.
Has a lot of meal samples.
Yeah.
A lot of pictures.
A lot of recipes.
A lot of recipe ideas.
And it goes into the body types and the intermittent fasting. It tells you everything.
Yeah.
Okay? So now we're going to go to Amy from Ruston, right down the street. Hey, Amy.
Oh, hi, Dr. Berg. Thank you for taking my call, and hello to your wife, too.
Hi.
Just to give you a little background. Hi, Karen. I'm new to this. I'm a newbie, as the one woman said, and I'm glad that you mentioned the video. And I guess I'm going to tell you what my problem is, but as a newbie, you had mentioned watching the videos, but would you, as a newbie, would you give me 1, 2, 3 steps to educate myself about your program as far as buying your books?
Yeah.
Because I like to read, and I'm a nurse, so I really like to read and educate myself. So
right.
Could you start with that? Mm-hmm. Which books?
Yeah, so this comes with a companion guide, which is basically a short summary, which basically in 45 minutes you can get all the basics, because I want everyone to get started right away. So you get the basics, and that companion book is called, it's not Lose Weight and Get Healthy, it's Get Healthy to Lose Weight. So now we're shifting your viewpoint to getting healthy, a whole new concept, but it aligns with this book, right? So you get through that, then you're starting to get results immediately, like within a day or two, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. But now, what about this? I have these questions. Well, then this fills in the details So you can read it. It's so funny because when I read a book, I rarely read it from the beginning to end. I actually like to start at the back. Don't ask me why, but you want to turn to the chapters that you want to. There's an eating chapter, there's information chapter, there's a lot of details in here that you can study. Plus, there's 150 different pictures in there, so you can kind of visually see things going on. So that's what I'd recommend. And then in addition to that, you have all the videos that I have on YouTube. You can search and get specific data. I have like the ketogenic and intermittent fasting overview video.
Okay.
I have an overview.
I have that book you have in your hand. I have that one.
You have it. Oh, perfect. So
yeah.
Then you can get started immediately then. And I think it's in chapter 11 is the basic eating plan that you would want to jump right into. But I think you're going to be happy.
Great, thank you. Okay, so here's the issue with me. I'm 53 years old. I've really led a really healthy lifestyle, and I am pretty healthy, other than I have supposedly have Hashimoto's, and I take 100 micrograms of Synthroid. But I've noticed over the last 8 years, I'd say, and it's off and on, and it vacillates day to day on what I eat, and that's why I've started to look into a healthier diet, because I notice it affects me. But my issue is, my complaint is joint pain, but it can be, I'll tell you the history. It started one time I woke up and I had this excruciating elbow pain. I thought I had pulled it lifting a suitcase. Well, it just went on for about a year, and I finally did some own discovery of my diet and realized I thought it was gluten and sodas. I used to drink diet soda, and I would drink like a Dr. Pepper, and I would just get this throbbing pain in my elbow. So I stopped soda. I started eliminating glutens and bagels, and now the problem is I'm not always good. But so when I'm better, I feel better. But when I cheat and have pizza, or I do sneak some bread in, I wake up in the morning and I'm in like gridlock. Like I feel like I'm 90.
Right.
I can't stand up straight. Each joint hurts. Sometimes I can't open my hands.
Wow.
And I was tested for rheumatoid, because I have a really good doctor that I've worked, professionally with, and he tested me for. And I don't have a rheumatoid. I'm not a celiac. So I think it's diet.
Yeah. Well, I want to comment on that, okay, Amy? You're in the medical profession. My mom's a nurse. I was actually an X-ray tech in the military. I used to work in different hospitals, the whole thing. The whole model, the medical model is basically come in there with a complaint, and then they treat it. They come with a complaint. What I like to do is something a little different. I shift the whole focus on taking the symptoms and putting over here. Let's increase your health. Let's get the basic things in there, because I'm telling you, the amount of questions that I get for every different possible symptom you can possibly imagine, I always like to go, well, I tell you what, get the basics in with your eating, and then see if any of these go away. And probably 99.9% of the time they go away. So I think that's what you're missing. You need to get the basics in to actually create enough health so you don't have all these other little things going on. You're going to find your insulin's going to drop, your inflammation's going to drop systemically. You're going to feel so good. You're not going to want to go back. It's one of those things that you have to personally experience to know the power of this stuff. And that's why we actually dedicated a whole show just on keto and intermittent fasting, because it's so powerful. And you can't even explain it. You have to have people do it so they can feel it, and then they'll know based on personal experience. All right. Thanks, Amy. I appreciate that. All right. We're going to go to Daniel, and then we're going to ask another question, Karen. Go ahead, Daniel, from Ruston, Virginia.
Yes, sir. Hello, Dr. Berg and
Hello.
Karen. How you doing?
Hi.
Good.
It feels good to finally get through. I've called a billion times.
I can imagine.
Okay, but you're a very popular guy. But what can I take to help me deal with my wife's menopause?
Menopause. Got it.
Kidding.
What can you take?
I was like,
I'm kidding.
You got me there. You got me there.
Long walks.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. No, the thing is, I when I was eating horrible, I was going to the bathroom all the time. Now that I'm doing the keto and it's working exceptionally well, I don't cheat. I do all the right things. I'm only eating twice a day. I'm down to 243 from around 300. My blood sugars are perfect. I'm constipated. I go, and I hate to talk about this, but I go, but it's not the BMs that I was used to having when I wasn't eating well. So
right.
what am I doing?
Well, let me ask you a question. Are you doing intermittent fasting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, good.
My last meal is usually 6:30. I don't eat beyond 7, and I eat my breakfast after 10, and then my meal again at between the 6 and 7:30.
Okay, cool. So there's a couple things, Daniel, I'm going to recommend. Number one, there's a part of the nervous system around your colon. See, everyone's focused about fiber, but I'm assuming if you're doing my program, you're doing a lot of vegetable fiber. But here's the thing, you got this, there's another cause to constipation. You have all these nerve endings around the colon that actually create this pumping action called peristalsis. So that nervous system is getting fed with a lot of B vitamins, specifically B1. I would honestly really dramatically increase your vitamin B1 and add some additional nutritional yeast to the whole picture if you're taking B1 as a supplement, because you want to do more B vitamins, and that should help you. The other thing I would try would be potassium, more potassium. If both of those do not work, then I would do two things. I would do fermented foods like sauerkraut. I would do that. Maybe kimchi, something like that. And then as you're doing this, it's very important to keep the bowels going despite even getting help with a herbal remedy. So smooth move tea would be something that I would recommend, because you've lost a lot of weight, you're doing great. It could be because this problem was chronic, you're still in the adaptation phase, which constipation is one symptom of that, and you might have to work with that over time to fully resolve that. So in the meantime, I'm suggesting take an herbal laxative to keep the bowels going. The side effects are very minimal compared to the benefits, but it's very important not to get that auto intoxication. That's what I'd recommend. So Karen, we have another question, but what I want to do is I want to ask everyone additional question.
Okay.
I had a question.
Then we have to get some questions here.
Yes,
these guys need some airtime.
We will totally go to those questions.
Okay.
But let's just first ask this last question here. What is the most common symptom of high blood sugars? Hyperglycemia.
Okay, so the last one was low.
Yeah.
And now you want to know?
I want to know what's the most common symptom, not organ, but symptom of high blood sugar.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so go ahead and answer that. Now, Karen, we're going to take some calls. We're going to take some questions from you.
Good, good. So a couple of questions came in today. They're on keto and their energy's low. What to do?
Yeah, that's an easy one. You need B vitamins. That's the number one thing you need. Now, if you're taking nutritional yeast, take a little bit more. If you're taking a little bit more and you still are tired, then go out and get some vitamin B5. Sometimes you need a little more of that when you're doing keto, and sometimes it's not high enough in the nutritional yeast, but usually it is, but sometimes it's not. And that will eventually raise your energy up. Okay?
Okay, good.
Next question.
Next question. You mentioned the other day, and then we just had someone ask about ketones in the urine versus ketones in the breath, and tell everyone a little bit about how to
real quick, because we only have 30 seconds, but there's three types, there are three ketones, and there's a video on it and that you should watch, but basically you have ketones. When you're measuring ketones in the urine, you're measuring one type of ketone. When you're measuring in the blood, you're measuring another. When you're measuring in the breath, you're measuring another ketone. So it's a little confusing because people might show negative for this ketone but positive for this other ketone. So that's why I want you to watch the video on that, just to get the full scoop, because that answer would take us about 5 minutes. We don't have that time.
Okay. So
do you have another quick question?
No.
Less involved? Okay. All right, let's go to Stefani or Stefan from Stefan from Missouri. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hello, my name is Stephanie.
Stephanie, okay, good.
Yes.
It's so complicated.
It's okay. I believe I have the keto rash. I've been on keto for 3 weeks, but I'm still nursing. And so I saw your video on the gallbladder supplement, and so I bought it. But then I thought, wait, I don't know if I can take that while nursing. So my question was, is it safe to take while nursing?
Good question. Are you also on intermittent fasting, or are you just doing keto?
No, I'm just doing keto right now while I'm still nursing.
Okay. So I think that's smart because I think like 3 meals a day would be great. Here's what I would do, Stephanie. I would increase your B vitamins. There's a lot of skin issues that happen because you're pumping out a lot of breast milk, and then a lot of times if you're borderline subclinical deficient in a certain nutrient, and then it becomes even magnified. So nutritional yeast is what you want to do. In fact, you could do brewer's yeast as well if you find an organic source, or nutritional, but that will increase the quality of breast milk. So you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The other thing that's happening with the rash is, which I don't believe it's really coming from like a detox reaction, so I wouldn't really worry about that. I think it's really a vitamin deficiency situation, the Bs, because you're not doing intermittent fasting, so you're not dumping toxins through the fat cell and all that. So I think it's really just a B vitamin deficiency. There's a lot of skin issues that happen with B vitamin deficiencies and also trace mineral deficiencies. Awesome. Thanks for that question. All right, Karen, what kind of answers do we have?
I'm getting thirst, brain fog, confusion, frequent urination, headaches, increased thirst. I don't know, is there people Googling this? How would you know that? Dizzy or lightheaded, increased urination.
Okay. Do we have a drum roll, please? This is it. This is a very important question. The first symptom is fatigue. Fatigue. High sugar makes you want to go to sleep. Just picture a Thanksgiving meal. You eat all these carbs and protein, blood sugars go up, you want to take a nap. Now, what's interesting is a lot of times you'll notice brain fog at the same time. So when people say you're tired, where is it located, in your body or your head? Probably going to be in your head. So it'd be like, so I'm going to refine them. It's brain fatigue, Karen. That's the #1 symptom.
All right, brain fatigue.
Yeah, and on that note, thank you guys for calling in and listening. You've been great questions. There hasn't been one bad question. So we will see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.